Hi, my name is Nicholas Fife, and I'm a recent graduate of Full Sail University's Game Design Bachelor's Degree program. While I was there, I teamed up with some of my fellow game designers and a team of game art students to create Trial of Passage, a 3D adventure platformer. I'd like to show off the Great Mighty Lava, a boss that I designed for the game. The Great Mighty Lava consists of three separate instances of the boss that can pop up, one over there, one over on that other platform, and one right here. What it does is it randomizes between the two that the player is not near, picks one of them, and then activates it. The boss rises up out of the lava and starts shooting these arcing lava balls at the player, and the two appropriate platforms rise and start rotating towards the boss. While you are far away, he attacks in 3-shot bursts with a 2-second delay, and then when you get close, he's going to switch to 4-shot bursts. And then, after his 4 shots, he enters a vulnerable state and you can throw a bomb in his mouth. Or you can jump in there and he'll chew you up and you have to start over. Each time you damage the boss, you get a few seconds to gather some power-ups before the new one rises. And now, the delay on his attacks is only about a second and a half instead of the 2 seconds the player had before. It still follows the same pattern. Throw a bomb in his mouth again, he takes more damage, and the same thing is going to happen, except now his attacks are only going to have about a 1 second delay, which means it is very difficult to successfully avoid his attacks. We are going to go ahead and close distance with him now and get this over with. And one last bomb in his mouth. The boss is defeated, and our ending cinematic plays as the airship comes swooping in to save the player. Alright, so over in the Unity editor, I'm just going to show the setup of the level real quick, and then in the next videos I'll actually get into the nuts and bolts of how I got everything working. But in the general sense, we have the boss has one parent object with this script that coordinates the all three of the instances of the boss, and then each of the instances themselves have an animator on them, and they have this script here that I use as a pass through so that I can call animation events and have things happen. So the animator is pretty simple. When the level starts, all three instances of the boss enter this idle state, and then when the master script triggers one of them, that one will have this angry bool set to true, and it will transition into rise, and then the transitional idle. It'll run through the long attack prep, which is there just to give the player a couple seconds break between getting attacked, and then the long range attack, which is where the attacks actually happen. I do it with a set of animation events that you can see here. I call long fire for the long range attacks, and then I call short fire for the short range attacks. And what'll happen is as long as the player is at a distance, it'll keep cycling through this set of attacks, the long attack. Once the player has crossed the platform and is detected near the boss, melee will get set to true and it will start doing its short range attack pattern instead, which you can see here I have instead 4 animation events that each call short fire. Show you the animation. It's really not that different from the long animation, long range attack animation. Anyway, once this animation finishes, it goes into its vulnerable state. Its mouth opens. If the player gets a bomb in its mouth, it will flinch, it will lower, it'll go back to idle, and it will give its part of the okay to start a new phase of the boss. If the player fails, it'll go back to transitional idle and continue to cycle through one loop or the other. Usually it'll just keep cycling through the short range attack, since there's no good reason for the player to run across a field of lava and get away from the boss. And then the other part of what makes the level work is the giant gears, which I'll show you the giant gears. I store them at the bottom of the level here and have them animated to rise like so. So we've got the rise 2 animation, which just grabs the correct 2 and starts their animation. We have the 2-2, which is them rotating in place. And then we have the 2-2 repeat, which just fills in the gap. That would where the turning where the rotation would normally be filled in by the rise and lower 2 um, animations. The 2-2 repeat just rotates it far enough to get us back to the start of the 2-2 animation. And when lower gets called after the player has crossed, we can see here we have a animation event is lowered, which will call the prime idle function and give the boss the other signal it needs before it restarts to the next phase of the battle. Alright, so that is just the real quick overview of the level and how things work. And in my next video, I will work on explaining the actual nuts and bolts of how everything works. Alright, thank you for your time, and thank you for watching my video.